Hey, welcome everyone to the Punjabi Chamber of Commerce's webinar today. And this is like we, in the past, we have talked about that we are a worldwide Punjabi communities movement where we are connecting a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, and all the professionals together globally, and so that we can help each other and make a difference and grow our community and help us financially be more successful. And today we have a very important webinar. And today, who am I? First, let me explain you. I am Sandeep Tal. I'm the founder CEO of a couple of companies here. One is a marketing company and one is a merger and acquisitions, and we acquire companies and help them. And it's an advisory also where we help companies with money as well as resources to help them grow. And I am also the co-chair of the Punjabi Chamber of Commerce and for San Francisco Bay Area chapter, and I am the co-chair with Kulwant Sandhu, who is we both are taking care of this chamber here. I am for about Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. So it's a non-profit organization. It is funded with the generous support of Punjabi community. And we established in 2017, and in the New Jersey area, and PCC is dedicated to uniting and helping, like I said, for all Punjabis, business owners, as well as professionals across the globe. We have no religion, no politics policy in the place, and no politics, like I said. And then we have. Can you? Okay. And then we have. Okay. And then since our inceptions, we have helped entrepreneurs grow their business, professionals lead their organizations, and community leaders expand their reach. So we have been doing a lot on that. And like I said, Punjabis have various different backgrounds, and ranging from all sectors and industries. They are considered the most entrepreneurial in India. And let's move further. It's easy to sign up, become a member. There's no fees right now to start being a member and contribute to the community. And we do a lot of stuff like these webinars where we help people, as well as we reach out to our state, our region in India whenever there is any need. And this is the need at that time happened in the COVID second wave, that we generated so much of funds from here and set up those plants and those oxygen which was needed for so many people there. So I have the pleasure of having with me Marina Bukshina, who is the founder and CEO of growthchannel.io. And this company is very unique. You know, they talk about, they are automating the entire market intelligence platform where they help entrepreneurs and business owners and startup founders and all that to plan, activate, optimize their omni-channel marketing campaigns with this AI technology. I have seen this. I have actually loved it very much, and I wanted to have and she has tons of experience in marketing and all that, and she has been helping organizations at a strategic level for marketing. And I thought it will be a great addition for us to get information, to get knowledge from her, and to help all Punjabis business owners to grow worldwide. So this is the target for identifying the best target audience for your business. This is the topic of the webinar today. And like I said, 90% of the website, I said in one of my messages that 90% of the websites do not get a single visitor, you know, but 10% of those who get it, are they getting the right kind of customers? My question is, are you getting the best audience so that you basically, are you, like we say that billions of dollars. This is a survey which said that more than $37 billion wasted in ad spend every year, and which they do not even know whether it is reaching the target audience. And like Marina was saying just before that then business owners and the company CEOs actually then feel that the marketing is not working. We need to go to the foundation and see whether the best audience, what is the best audience for for whose purpose the business is there, because your entire business depends upon it. May I ask, so Marina, I would like you to say something more about the target audience. How do you identify them? And would you be able to say something more about that right now?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks very much, Sandeep, first of all, for having me today with you guys. I'm really excited to speak with everyone and be here at this webinar. Yeah, identifying the target audience is, from my perspective, is number one thing you would do for any business or anything, in fact, you're planning to market or promote. It's the first thing, because you're going to, let's say, you're thinking about, okay, which channels am I going to use? What content shall I use to actually promote my business? But if you get wrong the first part, which is actually identifying your target market and the audience, you will choose the wrong channels, the wrong communication, and the wrong messaging. And in that case, most probably not succeed. So therefore, I just really want to make sure that everyone today will take this into account and make sure that they first go into identifying who to target before actually clarifying where and with what resources they will be doing that for their marketing. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that, our focus is, how do we find that hungry crowd, for our business? Like I'll give you an example of what happened with Kellogg's, the cereal maker, the breakfast cereals, right? So it happened in India. When I was in India around in 90s, and we read a case study, not case study, at that time, Kellogg's came with millions of dollars in their back pocket and said, we are going to change the mindset of Indians, of the breakfast habit of the Indians, and they will start eating cereals in the breakfast. They tried their best. They spent millions and billions of dollars on that in the last 20 years. And I read recently that they have accepted the failure, that they couldn't change it even after spending billions of dollars on that, or multi-million dollars. And I think we go to the core subject, like you were saying, understanding the audience, whether they are going to change it or not. And now the second thing is, the business owners and the small and medium business owners and the startup founders do not have the pockets, the deep pockets of Kellogg's and Google's and the Coke and Pepsi. They need to be very, very laser focused for understanding the what is my target audience, right? So I would like to learn more about what you have to say. And I would also request you to talk about something about the customer personas, because that's also very important, because customer persona is where I think I messed up in my first startup, and I wanted to have that as a learning for everyone, so that there is nobody else should do that mistake. Okay, thank you. So please go ahead.
Thanks for this, Sandeep. So yeah, I'll take over and I'll share my screen. Just give me 1 second. Here we are. So yeah, before we actually move into how to identify your target audience, I want to walk you through the why, and why should we actually care about identifying the target audience, except of course figuring out your whole strategy. Another important reason is actually because there is a growing competition in the market. Every other day there is a new business being open, and you may also notice how fast the competition grows, and they're also not sleeping, they're not staying in one place, they keep on moving forward and innovate as well, and you have to keep up. And on the other side, you also have the customers and these growing user expectations. And like, I think like 10 years ago, maybe like our expectations were here and now they're here, right? So now we want better price, better value for money, flexibility. We expect, like maybe 10 years ago, we expected a response like within a few days for our requests. Nowadays, we expect it maybe within hours, not even days. So the users' demands are growing as well. So therefore, it's really important to make sure that you're keeping up with the market expectations and are also developing and growing your own marketing strategy and adjusting it over time to the market. The way that we work at Growth Channel within my company at looking at the personas, it's also part of the whole growth marketing methodology. And when I talk about growth marketing methodology, it might sound a little bit complicated, but this graphic can really explain it in a very visual and easy way. The graphic is actually taken from Growth Tribe. It's an educational organization in Amsterdam, which is great. They basically teach lots of different growth marketing tactics for enterprises mainly, but the way they define growth marketing is when it comes to data and testing, it's a combination of creative marketing, you have tools and automation, and you have behavioral psychology, and all of these components, they're interconnected together, and they really form this growth marketing principle, which is really scaling up these days, and the many companies that are growing today are using this methodology to grow as well. And when we look at, let's say, how is actually growth marketing different from digital marketing or any other kind of more traditional marketing approaches, is because growth marketing is looking at the whole journey of the customer. So they're looking at not just, the awareness and building the acquisition and bringing in new customers, they're also looking beyond that. So what happens to that customer after they actually purchased your product or service? How do they keep on continuously using your product or service, and are they actually referring new business for you? So it looks at this whole cycle, which is usually a circle as well. And I think HubSpot also recently released their flywheel version of this. It's all the same thing. It's just, different representation of the same concept. At Growth Channel, we have very similar methodology. We look at the trigger before a user actually, knows about your product or service, or before they even think they have a problem, right? Like many businesses, I think here today, maybe you don't know if you have a problem about identifying your customer persona. So that mainly is trigger. Awareness is, okay, we have a problem, but we are not maybe yet looking for a solution. Consideration is, I'm actually comparing the alternatives right now, might be, looking at the reviews, comparing different products or services. Conversion is when I'm actually ready to buy something or sign up. Delight is my actual experience with the product and service, and advocate is actually closing that loop and making sure that I bring in more business to you by referring it to my friends, my colleagues, and the rest of the people in my network. And for each step of the journey, you would have like different strategies, different channels, different content that might or might not work. And each of the customers will actually most probably go through each of these journey steps as well. So going backwards a little bit into the actual persona, what that means and how you can build that is something that I want to show you guys right now. This is a big picture overview in terms of like what a customer persona would look like. But the different components that come into it is like not just the demographics, not just the psychographics, but also the behavioral characteristics of a person. So think about it like not just, oh, I'm targeting enterprises, IT department. Think about it in terms of what their goals are, what their challenges are on a day-to-day basis that they're trying to address, that your product or service might be solving. Think about who and what actually influences their decision. Think about their whole decision-making criteria, like how would they make a decision to buy? Is it like maybe a price? Is it a specific feature or a benefit they're looking for? What would be their key performance indicators? What metrics would they use to identify whether this product or service is a good fit for them? So, for example, if you have like a software development company, have you actually developed the product that was in scope for the time that was agreed, or anything like that? Likes and dislikes are usually also nice to have, and something you can definitely include on your landing page or the website to really restate the value proposition and get people to sign up for your service or a product. So all these different components would come in addition to the demographic set that you would already have predefined in most cases. The demographic examples could be like the geography, so in which location they are, or region, or the target area. You might also look at their age, or gender, or the type of company they're at, if that's important.
I have a question here for you, Marina. So when we talk about demographic, psychographic, and all that, and are we able to also, maybe many people would like to know, are we able to figure out who is in the market at this point of time, whether their purchase decision, what is the purchase intent at this point of time? Because most of the time when people hit Google, they are either doing some research or doing some, or they are ready to purchase. If we can do that, then the second thing I would like maybe to know from you is, like you were talking about psychographic, demographic, and defining the customer persona, but are we also going deep into finding out what her tastes are, how she and he communicate with others, where they hang around, what is their maybe political views or personal views and all that about other things? Are we going into that deep to create that persona or not?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
I think it really depends on like the product or service that you do. I would say this is the general basics that everyone should have. But let's say if, especially if it's a B2C product, I think like where they hang around is definitely important because you definitely want to be present there, right? Maybe through sponsorship opportunities, sharing some content, getting influencers there or anything like that. You might also be remarketing them at that specific location. That could be another good case. Yeah, it really depends on the product or service. I would say it's like varies in terms of what you would be looking at, depending on what exactly you're selling or trying to promote. But I would say these are the basics that everyone should have. This is pretty standard in terms of, I would say like even where they hang out could be going under the influence part, or let's say specific let's say groups that they're in or you know where they rely on for decision making or influences their decision could also come in under the influence. I think political and religious groups is something, it's a little, I guess, debatable. It depends on the product or service again. So let's say if you're selling yoga classes or something like this, that might be important maybe because maybe there is, you know, higher intent from a specific group than from the other. Or let's say if you're selling a book about meditation or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends.
Yeah, even you know, in like in our in US, you may find a particular people who belong to a particular party or follow a particular party may like certain kind of products. So I was just thinking about that, and I think you have answered my question. One more thing I wanted to ask you was that when we are talking about users, we talked about intent, we talked about where she hangs around. Now, whether she's the right decision maker or not. Now, you were talking about B2C, but in a B2B and even in B2C, the decision maker may be somebody else. So, or how do we find that decision maker? Is it possible to do that, or should we do it at this stage, or are you going to talk about later?
Yeah, definitely. So you would definitely want to look at like at least maybe like 3 different types of personas, and sometimes one person can be actually belonging to different to a few of them. So like decision makers is definitely one, the actual user is the second one, and the third one was probably like who is the influencer there as well. So I would have like those 3 for sure, but sometimes there might be like one person who might be all 3. There might be like a person who might just belong to 1 or 2 categories. But yeah, you should definitely look at it. Okay, who is going to be using my product or service? Is he also going to be making the decision for buying or like for the purchase of this product or service? And then also look at, okay, is there anyone else who might influence their decision? For example, let's look at, I don't know, a financing app or budgeting app for teenagers, right? Yeah. So maybe like the mom might be the decision maker, while the teenager might be the user, and maybe like a father in a family or someone else, like relatives, might be the influencers, right? Could be other moms in the community or something like this, the neighborhood. So that could be a nice example of like very different people, right? But let's say if you are selling, let's say you're selling a software development service to a startup or a small business, where an owner could be the user, decision maker, could be both, right? He might be looking at the influences though from other, owners in his community who have maybe also used your service. So that could be a completely different use case. So it really depends on, how you might be want to approach. If you sell shoes, yeah, maybe like a user and a decision maker is the same, but then maybe I'm gonna look at, oh, maybe you had like a celebrity there that I really adore, or like, my friends had a nice review about it.
I remember about shoes. If you ask my daughter, she'll not tell you that because I've been interfering in what kind of shoes she buys.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's
So
pretty
she will not, but she takes the final call. But I just try to interfere, and when she buys the jogging shoes or anyway running shoes. Anyway, it's just a joke I thought of because she's not happy with when I interfere with that. But but another thing which I wanted to say was that in a B2B environment, like there is a vice president, say like my co-chair is the co-chair of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. She's a supply chain leader. She is the top leader in our company for supply chain, and when we look at her and then say a series of people who may be reviewing the proposals in the company and so they are all influencers maybe, but or maybe a committee is a decision maker. So we need to find the right kind of decision maker or influencer even in a B2B environment, right? So is it possible when we are looking at this persona and all that, we can decide about what kind of company size is this, how many employees are there, and how are we able to create customer personas of each kind of segment, and say we're going to reach out to the buyers and then the managers, and we are going to have a different communication for the vice president of the supply chain and something like that. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely. You might have like one target account you want to reach, but then you'll definitely have slightly different personas who would belong to that same account. So for example, let's say you are, I don't know who we have in the audience, but let's take the software development approach, because I know there are lots of them who are trying to reach maybe like the CTOs or like head of specific IT departments in an enterprise company, which might be a great deal. So then most probably like a decision maker might be chief technology officer or head of department, while a user might be like a senior engineer or something like this, right?
Yeah.
And there might be multiple influencers, for example, the compliance team, could be the legal team, could be both, could be plus the purchasing team, because they might want to negotiate the contract as well and bring down the price or whatnot. So there might be like multiple levels of influencers. You would have a decision maker or a few of them who might need to sign off on the contract. And then you will have a few influencers who are actually going to be using the software and interacting with the software. Now, what we have seen from the data that we have gathered is that if you approach a decision maker directly from the start, they will forward that to the user to get the opinion about a specific, use case, and if that's going to be useful at all. If you're going to be sending it to the user and get them excited about it, they'll make sure they will promote it in the best way they can to their senior management, to make sure that they get that product inside for them to use. So usually the flow we would see is that you would be approaching a user and provide with all the materials they need to promote that to the senior management. And if the senior management is sold, then it will pass on to the influencers, who will then, will have to, well, in that case, like if decision makers are sold, in most cases, the deal is good to go. But then, of course, the influencers will still need to sign off.
Yeah. I remember a book which I read many years back. It's called Spin Selling. I don't know whether you read it or not. It's a seminal book in B2B selling, where there's a lot of gestation period, or the lot of big long sales cycle. He said the same thing what you're saying, that we are motivating the users and the influencers to understand the product and help them understand the pain points of them first, so that they themselves come up with the pain point, they themselves feel happy about the solution you're providing. And once they understand it, they'll be able to go and sell within the organization what you are saying, because you as a B2B marketer or an entrepreneur or a business owner won't be there in every meeting selling the products. right? So from our marketing, when you said omni-channel thing, we are able to help on different places, like from digital marketing for advertisements and all that. But a lot of work is being done by the users and these influencers and all that, and actually taking it forward in the right language, which actually is decided by you. So they're understanding the pain point, and like you said, making people understand that that's their real pain point is also very important. Correct? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I would like to say, yeah, I'll keep myself shut so that we can listen to you more.
No, please ask questions. It's all about the interaction. I would love to have that
Thank you.
conversation. Do you want me to continue, or do you want to?
Yeah, continue.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, like, if anyone from the audience wants to get the template completely free, you can download it here or check out on our website under resources and marketing templates. It's all free, no obligations. It's also an editable format. It's all about basically combining the customer insight you have with the strategy and then going towards the plan. So while you're understanding and trying to identify, okay, what exactly like objective and the challenges and decision criteria are for the target audience, that once you have that in place, it will smoothly transition into helping you identify that strategy for actually targeting that audience. Because let's say if they're influenced by a specific group of people, or they're part of a specific community where they look out for, ideas and where they're active participants, that could be one of the channels you will want to, be present on and promote. Or like if they use specific words in their communication, that could be part of your content strategy, right? So all of that is interconnected. So once you identify really clearly with that customer insight, the strategy will come in a smooth and as well as the plan way. So the template looks like this, which you can actually just use yourself and pre-populate as you need to really figure out, okay, who am I targeting? And you can derive the data to fill in the blanks by different sources. You might already have all of this data actually at hand. One is your existing customers. So interviews, surveys, could be focus groups as well. You can also look at your analytics from Google Analytics, which I want to drive through. And let's say if you're a new business and you still don't know fully, let's say who or like what are the objectives and different characteristics of your target persona, you can actually also find that information in most of the times on social media, such as LinkedIn for B2B, which I want to dive in right now. And I'll switch my screen in a second. But Sandeep, maybe you have a question while I'm doing that.
No, I would like to see that from LinkedIn and how you do that, because I would like, because there's a lot of value in LinkedIn and Google Analytics and people, and I would like every entrepreneur to do that once or twice themselves, even if they have their own marketing team, because once they understand that themselves, they'll be able to get the best out of their marketing dollars.
Yeah. So for example, like we started to talk about the software developers, right? So let's talk about the software chief technology officer, let's say. If you're looking for selling to chief technology officers, I would just put that into LinkedIn. I'll click on people here that we're looking at. Then I'll click on all filters. Through all filters, you're actually able to identify lots of cool information. So the next step would be like to choose a few more elements here. And if you have a sales navigator, you'll have even more filters, which is super cool. Even if you don't have a sales navigator, it's very easy to do that. And I'll show how you can do that. Now, is the audience mainly based in India, or shall we select
India? All over.
Okay.
Audience is everywhere.
Okay. I mean, I can select the United States.
Yeah, United States is good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You can select current company and you can add companies here if that is important. If it's not important, you can scroll through. You can also do past company, school, and you can do industry, right? So in most cases, you're going to be targeting specific industries, and maybe like if you are a software development company targeting chief technology officers, you definitely don't want to target to information technology and services company, right? You must probably want to target like what, maybe financial, maybe healthcare, and most probably like these people will actually be very different audiences as well. So you definitely don't want to have too many here that are very different. But just for the purpose of this demonstration, let's do, okay, let's do financial services. Let's do that. I'll select profile language because let's say I don't speak very well Spanish, French, German, or Portuguese. So I just want to make sure I speak to people who speak English. And you can provide additional keywords or titles here as well. So let's say if I am looking for Chief Technology Officer, I'll put it in the title. I'll click on search, and here I can, let's say if I'm selling ServiceNow, oh, typo, ServiceNow to these guys, here I'll be able to see people who are Chief Technology Officers in the US within financial services who in their profile already aware about ServiceNow. So most probably closer towards, you know, the awareness part versus definitely no trigger. So you don't need to tell them what it is. So they already know what it is and most probably will be more open to having a conversation. So let's take a look at it. I'm just going to open a few profiles. Hopefully it's none of the people who are attending today's session. But it's all public information. So it's not like something that's completely hidden or so. So let's look at this guy, Colby. I'm just going to scroll down and then here we are able to identify, okay, he's in Houston, Texas. Perfect. I'm in Austin. And then we are looking at about information. So this information here can actually fill in the bio part of your persona template. So here it talks more about their experience, what is their background, and more information about them as a professional information about their as a person. Here we also know about, okay, what are their objectives are, like reduce cost, risk, friction, people pay and get paid. That's great. And he leads products, business analysis, delivery, and core technology teams. Perfect. So you already have like half of the persona template filled in just from this information. You can also know the company that he works at and, you know, how big is the company. Okay, there are about, let's go to the about page. That usually will tell us, okay, it's 51 to 200 employees, medium size, we can call it. ECH-based something. And here you can also look at, okay, what education he has, what are specific like certifications. Sometimes this is helpful as well. So it looks like he also understands about cybersecurity. So maybe when you're pitching your product, you can talk a little bit about that and how that fits all together, how that fits with AWS. Most probably that's what they use, right? You want to talk about, you know, some additional elements that are mentioned in the skills and endorsements as well. So talk about strategy and how that fits in. You want to talk maybe more about, you know, clouds and other elements that are on his profile that match the solution that you're trying to provide. The skills element is really important because this is basically tells you, okay, what are the different topics that your persona is knowledgeable of that can help you also then, you know, get the better communication and the message towards the audience that you're selling into. Another element here is the interests, and you can actually see the type of groups he is in, which you can also then join and, you know, talk a little bit more about the solution and the problem that you're trying to address with your product or service. So this is another powerful element here. So I think like if you are providing ServiceNow, anyone here listening, then maybe IT and operations transformation could be an interesting part to join.
So may I ask you a question here, Marina?
Yep.
So you're saying this kind of work on LinkedIn, when we are reaching out and trying to find the CEOs and the decision makers, this is very, very important for creating a persona for B2B kind of work, right? For a B2C, you will show us something on the Google Analytics or something like that?
Yeah, I'll show the Google Analytics and how to do that on.
But here we are talking about B2B because most of the business owners who have B2B aspirations and reaching out to them, this is the way we can reach out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this is very easy in order to try and understand like, okay, who is the potential target audience, where they hang out in terms of groups, right? What are the different certifications or the topics they care about? What are they responsible for, and what are their key decision, you know, making opportunities here? You actually have pretty much the whole template filled in, you know, by looking at this profile here.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, and I opened a few other things here, like a few other profiles. Usually, you might want to have a combination of a few, but it's pretty straightforward process. The same flow. So you look at, okay, what's, you know, what the bio tells us, what his job role description tells us, the
And
skill set.
what you are saying, yeah, sorry. Has Healthy stopped the recording here?
I think we should be still live as far as.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So what we are saying is that the B2B stuff which we are talking about here is that we are trying to get we are trying to set up a customer persona for the foundation of the either the new product being launched or we want to launch the company, or we want to grow the company, or whatever the reason is, whatever the objective is. We need to do this much, at least this much of work to get to know the customer well. What are they asking for? What is the pain point? What are they, like we said, hangs around with? And then build this customer persona by looking into different kind of profiles, and then decide whether and how we want to target our marketing for, whether it is content marketing, emails, or even asking salespeople to call, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it seems
Okay.
like you can also look at the companies and groups as well. So for example, these people, they're like Financial Times, right? Maybe you need a PR there or be a part of the news article. Their own Harvard Business Review. So maybe, like an article there might also help get in front of their eyes as well and help you in the decision making. So you can actually look exactly, which communities they're a part of, what are they reading, what are they following. And that way actually set up a proper strategy from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to switch on to Google Analytics if you guys
Okay.
would like.
Yeah. Sure.
Awesome. So within Google Analytics, actually, I'll stop the sharing while maybe you can have a question or so.
Okay.
And I can actually switch to an account
Do
that I
you,
have.
yeah, so I would like to ask anybody who was on the line that to if there is any product or anything whether you want to talk about for Google Analytics. That's what you wanted to know, Marina, or something else?
Yeah, so I mean, any other questions you guys have while I'm loading up Google Analytics data for one of the use case companies today? I'm sure someone might have some questions, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. If not, then we can move on with our hypothetical question, or I can ask you questions as we go.
Yeah.
Don't think like. Let's move on.
I'm loading up the data. Okay, perfect. I got it. Okay. So, or I was wrong that I loaded up. I think I need more time to load up the data, but
No worries,
basically,
no worries. Yeah, you can load this thing, and then we can keep talking about that. So we like we talked about the decision maker and all that. We talked about, I think, the entire journey of the customer. Knowing the entire journey of the customer is also very important, from the pain point and who decides and all that. That's what you talked about. That was brilliant. And now we're talking about the methodology, right? How we can do this stuff. You're showing us the customer persona. You're showing us how deep and how we can get that information. And LinkedIn is just one part of it. It can be the meetup groups. It can be your focus groups, right? Where or networking groups. We can get information from many places. Asking different customers also. Correct?
yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
I finally loaded up the information. I was
Okay.
having a one data set there. So within your Google Analytics Universal account, you have like real-time data, audience data, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. So if you guys go on towards audience and then demographics, and if you have audience insights available, you should be able to see a whole bunch of demographic information under that can help you identify your audiences.
Okay.
So if you click on demographics, for example, and then age, you can actually see the target audience age distribution that are actually highest, ones in terms of visiting your website. You can also do secondary dimension to help narrow it down a little bit more, for example, by gender. So For this specific website, the case is 25 to 34 male, and that is actually predominant number of users, so over 40% of the visitors. And we also see that another elements and metrics that you really have to pay attention to is the bounce rate compared to the average. Is it higher or lower? Page views per session, average session duration, because those three metrics actually tell you, is this audience actually engaging, or are they just coming from your ads and leaving? So you definitely want to look at that. And then in addition to that, definitely set up the conversion goals to actually see whether the audience is actually converting or not, because you definitely want to look at the audience that's actually bringing in bottom line results, right? And focus on that audience versus the ones that might be, you might be driving like 40% of the traffic to the website from ads, but they are the ones that have zero conversion. So you definitely don't want to have that audience. You want to look at the audience that is also converting the most for you and is actually bringing in the revenue for your business. Yeah. So this is one of the ways here. You can also look more into. I think
there is a question here from someone, and I think Edward is asking, how is LinkedIn helpful in case of B2C product marketing?
Yeah, it's not very much helpful in case of B2C marketing. So that's why we're looking at the Google Analytics here. So I would say that Google Analytics, social media platforms, which are more focused towards the consumers, such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You might have other specific channels that might be more relevant for you. They are the most relevant for you as in B2C business. For B2B specifically, LinkedIn is very helpful, but for B2C, it's not as much.
And B2B, I think for getting more information, like I said, the meetup groups, the networking events and all that also can also help get some information from other sources also. I know it takes a lot of time to get, but the customer interviews and all that also is very important. Am I on the right track, or is it only LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn only does not have enough information. I'll give you an example. I wanted to reach out for my marketing agency for a lot of manufacturing companies, suppose small manufacturing companies. Out of the 100 profiles I found, or maybe 80 or 90 profiles I found for the owners who are up to $10 million or $8-10 million kind of companies, not even one had more than 20 connections on LinkedIn, and they just have one line. It seems that many years back when LinkedIn came in, they just created one profile and forgot about it. So what I'm saying is that LinkedIn is very important, but there can be much more, I guess, from networking groups and maybe industry associations and chamber of commerce and all that can also provide some information on that. But that's a lot of effort, I guess, in that case. Am I? Sorry, one question more. Are there any other third-party data sites like case studies, like white papers, or which tells about, do you know anything like that so that we can answer Edward a little better?
For B2B or B2C?
B2B.
Yeah, so the way we do that at Growth Channel in the backend, I'm right now basically showing the manual way or behind the scenes, let's call it, of how Growth Channel does it. But for example, within our technology, for B2B, we would do automatically connection to LinkedIn. However, like if we see the example that you just mentioned, whenever there isn't enough data on LinkedIn for the maybe very niche B2B segment, in that case, we would actually swap that over to Facebook, because in most cases that would solve the solution, because a lot of the people that maybe are too niche, let's say, we actually found that a lot of the service shops or like car shop owners, there aren't actually very prominently present on LinkedIn. So like within automotive industry, for example, or service industry, like blue collar industries. So they're more present on Facebook than LinkedIn. So therefore, like our tool will do that switch if you see lack of data. But yeah, that's what you can also do manually. Like you could look on LinkedIn data, and there are usually many different Facebook communities that people are a part of. So for example, like if you talk about car dealers or like shops or like service providers, there are lots of different Facebook communities which are very active that you can tap into. And there are also a few different tools that you can use to actually reach out to the community members. separately, but also I would suggest just like providing valuable content and interacting and engaging in those communities can be very helpful to building your presence for your own
One
business.
question I have is, so when we talk about Facebook groups, no, sorry, Facebook, do you get some connection or third-party data or some other Facebook data? Can we buy that data, or can we get that data from somewhere? Or are you saying your tool is providing that kind of a connection? So I may have not understood it properly.
Yeah, so within our tool, it will help you define the, fill in the gaps on the persona template using the Facebook audience data. You can do that manually to the extent similarly to what we have done to LinkedIn, but it's limited in most cases. The public information is pretty limited, so you might spend more time digging on Facebook than you would do on LinkedIn. A lot of people show up their whole CV there. And Facebook is more personal, so that's where it comes very different. And also a lot of the communities on Facebook are private versus public, so therefore like not all of that information is publicly available, so it can be harder to find. But yeah, there are tools that would match it also, like to Twitter and to other social networks, to do the whole map of the personas. That's also something that our tool has in the back end, so in that way you're able to figure out what is the public content they actually share online.
Got it. So let's move on.
Yeah, no worries. And if there are questions, let's please do stop.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you.
So yeah, we have other opportunities here, of course, is dive deeper into gender, but also I would most of the times use the secondary dimension here that you can specify and drill down even further. Now, another cool thing here is—
I have a question here.
Yes.
Sorry. Many years back, when I was management consultant for SAP, and I was reaching out to many companies and helping them on this thing, we were talking about, hey, the market has changed now, and now we are talking about segment of one. So there was a word of segment of one we talked about, and in marketing we talk about personalization. I think it is the same kind of stuff, segment of one, personalization. So what the other way was saying was that every person is thinking of themselves as a unique person, and with the technology, with the AI, with the big functionalities of databases and all that to get information, we are able to get the unique and more data for the customers. And are we able to, and have we reached a point where we are able to now personalize these marketing messages much more, or are we there yet, or are we still away from that?
Oh yeah, definitely. There are a whole bunch of tools out there that can help you personalize your messaging, especially for e-commerce. It's very critical for e-commerce. So, like you go on Amazon, eBay, or almost any like big e-commerce store today, and they will show you recommendations for the products and content based on your previous purchase or based on what you have looked at in the past. That's exactly how they do that. And most of them will also say, welcome back, Sandeep. And lots of other information. So yes, of course, a lot of, and it's widely used in the retail and e-commerce space. I would say that's most probably the biggest segment where it's applied.
Netflix uses it, I guess.
Of course, they use that. Yeah.
So broadcast media,
YouTube uses that. I mean, many bigger companies use that, but there are also a number of like startups, I would say, that also provide the technology so that it's more affordable even for like smaller, let's say Shopify store, companies. So there are some, technologies that are more expensive, such as Adobe, full solution for optimizing that and personalizing that. But also there are, cheaper solutions out there that can help you personalize the experience of the users in a different way. One to mention, I think it's Jungle. No. I will most probably need to look. I think it's just Tuno. So it's actually one of our partners. It's actually this one. Perfect. I was right. So they have actually the personalization module. You need to find it. Okay, advanced personalization.
Okay.
So you can actually define the persona who you're targeting and then decide what information you want to show to them based on, so then each persona will actually see very different content on your website. which is pretty cool. And they're doing a great job. So definitely check it out. I
Okay,
can
definitely. That's very good. Just to know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one
I
of
did
the
not know about
thousands
that.
most probably. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if you
Yeah,
don't
no.
like their pricing or whatsoever, I mean,
Yeah.
like you can
We find.
definitely look at alternatives. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of one of the guys that I
So
know.
for the time check, Marina, I don't know how much you have, but we have 10 minutes and I hope we
I can
are
squeeze it into 10 minutes
okay.
for sure. I mean, it's
Okay.
just a few things to wrap up.
Okay.
So one of the coolest things here, if you have audience insights available in your Google Analytics, is actually looking at the interests overview and then drilling deeper into affinity categories in market segments and other categories. So for this specific website, they're actually in financial services. So they can look at, okay, affinity category and reach. This is mainly interests of the people who are visiting the website. And you can see that, okay, they like shopping, they're early tech adopters, they're business professionals. They could be also evident investors. And I would say like this is the majority of the interests, right? The top three most probably here would be the biggest ones, but I would say the difference isn't as huge up until like most probably here they might be also interested pretty well in health and fitness buffs. And then in market segment is more of their business category, I would call it. And okay, this is a financial website, so they're mainly, I mean, over 6% is in this segment, so it kind of tells a lot. But it could also be something that's more like distributed, like here, right? And then you have other categories that also provides more information. And here it's more about digital currencies, which is interesting, right? But they again, it could be more distributed like here, so then you have more options here. So it's very interesting to look at that. And then if you drill down a little bit further, for example, let's look at the affinity categories here. We can actually see the engagement of each of these categories again, and how is the specific audience interests also impacting your bottom line results, which is really cool. And I would definitely suggest everyone here, if you have audience insights enabled on your Google Analytics, to go in here, select a bigger time range, assuming that your business have been using Google Analytics for some time, and actually look at this data and identify, okay, what are the interests of my people that actually are converting on my website?
One
And then bring it
question I
forward.
have, Marina, is here you're looking at data which is coming out from my website, suppose, right? But what if I am a new startup? I have started a new product, new business. I have nobody coming to my website right now. Where do I find the data?
Yeah, so if you don't have any data, I would definitely look into the communities that, where you think your ideal customer profile would hang out. On social media, there are plenty, right? There is Reddit, there is Quora, there is, I mean, there are Facebook communities and groups, there are LinkedIn communities and groups, there are different events, there are chambers of commerce.
Can we get something on Google Analytics or Facebook Analytics or something like that for general ideas about that market, like from?
You can also look at your competitors.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say, can we get a competitor of anyone, any website?
I don't remember right now, but we can. I understand. So what you're saying is we can take hold of this. There are many tools like SpyWoo and WooRank and all that, and we can put that competitor in there and find what these people are doing, and from there you can pick a SEMrush and all that, right? So from there we can reach and move ahead. Okay, I got it.
Exactly. And actually our tool version also has that capability to tell you exactly which keywords.
Okay, so your tool also helps us, and it's an AI tool, and I like it. I remember.
You have the competitor analysis there as well. But what you can also do if you're looking for qualitative data versus quantitative, and you know who your competitors are, let's say it's a store next door, you can actually look at the information they have on the website and look at who approximately they're targeting if you know that they're doing a good job.
Okay.
For example, I just need like one website. Let's say, I don't know. I just like, I'm out of ideas. What about Edward Stefan? You had a great question. Can you drop us a website of a competitor in a chat so that we can give you a few hints in terms of what to look at from competitor websites? Or anyone else, in fact. I just need a website.
Yeah.
Any website.
Any website.
But let's say if we are opening up a competitor for, I don't know, Shopify, I guess. I don't know. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Let's say. So we can look at, okay, we start branding, online presence, sell. So we have what? So people want to sell, ship and process payments everywhere. So this is like one of the things that you can look at. Okay, if I have a Shopify competitor, the people that would be looking they're looking to sell, ship and process payments anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, one of the things that you might look at. Bringing business online. Okay, great. There are different elements here that we look at. Okay, starting online business, moving business online, and then apparently, a solution to switch from a different solution might be important. So let's say if I am a Shopify competitor, I might want to have a solution that will help users switch from Shopify to my solution. It's actually very popular. One of the websites which we very much like, one of the tools, Versally, they actually help you build landing pages. I think they also have the switching solution. So they actually help you with migration. So let's say if you have a website and you want to migrate, the switching solution can be really helpful. And then, like if most probably a lot of the people are lost or something, they don't know how to do it. So then hiring an expert might be an option. So like this is the qualitative data that you can find directly on your competitor's website. Go in, look through it and look for keywords.
And that's like we said, it's a foundational work. Your company's future depends on it. And it's not only about saving the marketing dollars, it is also the future of the company, because if your message is right, if you have the right customer persona, you will even define your products, you will even create your products properly, right? So I hope it's been a wonderful conversation, Marina. I hope you also enjoyed it. And I wanted to share with everyone that, just a minute, let me share.
Do you want to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, I will share my screen. So I wanted to share with everyone that that this is they can take a picture of this so that they can reach to Marina and me and connect with us on LinkedIn. And if they have any question or anything related to marketing, they can ask either of us. And also, if any of the PCC members want to avail to try out Marina's growth channel, they can also reach out to Marina for mentioning PCC a webinar on the subject, or reach out to me. I can connect that, and then maybe she can also give some preferred pricing for that.
Right? Yeah, you guys all can get a 10% off using Punjabi as a coupon code for any subscription plan that we have. We actually right now until early January are also running a lifetime deal for our membership package on SaaS Mantra. So you can find growth channel membership on SaaS Mantra, and there's a lifetime deal, which is a huge discount.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marina, and it has been wonderful. I think this is one of the best webinars I have done, and we have got so much of information out of you. And this I will also, and we please give Marina also the recordings of this so that we can share that on our LinkedIn and Facebook for people who have not been able to join us. So thank you very much, Marina, and we would like to maybe interview you again in the future.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. It was great to be here.